This is Black Views, bringing you the Black News. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. How my brothers and sisters doing today? FBA all day, Black commentary, Black Views. Today, we will be having a discussion about the shooting yesterday. It happened in Nashville, Tennessee. It wasn't really a mass shooting, but enough to get attention of the nation. And we'll dive in a little deeper on that in just a moment. First, I want to say, I love you, my brothers and my sisters. It is time to focus. We are in a time now where things are being revealed to us. We have to use that information and process it without emotions. His name, so help me, Father. All right. So, today our subject is basically, this is about the breakdown of tethers. And what do I mean by that? Once again, what is a tether? A tether is basically someone that comes here from another country, most likely cosplaying as a Black American, a foundational Black American. And what a tether does is undermines a Black American. What he does is he'll play as you, he'll dress like you, he'll use your vernacular, he'll use your slang. But then pretty much when introduced to white culture, or when those two groups get together, he'll start to tether. You understand what I'm saying? He'll start to do little things that are equivalent to what we call our oons. Okay, I'll just say oons because I don't want to get any strikes or have anybody. This is for educational purpose. This is for instructions only. This is not, I'm not out here just saying this just to say this. This is to teach. So people are going to get offended because it's involved with the truth. It is the truth because I have had over 30 years of dealing with this group of people in America, not only in America, but also abroad over there. You know, growing up in a predominantly Black area, PG County, as you can see here, it says Marlow Heights. It's kind of like what people in DC would call it the ninth ward. You understand what I'm saying? The next ward. This is the next ward in DC. So you have Southeast, and then you're going to come into PG County. PG County has a back door in and a front door in to DC. Okay, and it's the main line from DC into Maryland on the southern part. So that being said, I've grown up in this area and I've seen the change, and I've also grew up with different immigrants, because this was pretty much, I think, when I would say elementary school, so this would be like in the 80s. They really started to come into our communities. A lot of these immigrants, they really started to come into our communities. And so what happened was, some of them had to go to school with foundational Black Americans. They had no choice. They had to go to school with us. And so in many cases, and some like you'll see today, you'll see in those classes, there'll be East Africans, there'll be Indians, there'll be people of all different, backgrounds, but there'll be one or two. You see what I'm saying? There were like one or two back then. Okay. And most likely their parents may have owned a shop, or they were just straight immigrants that came here. And guess what? They had no furniture in their house. Okay. Whatever they ate stank. And I'm telling you the truth. I'm not trying to belittle anybody. There's no hate here in what I'm saying. These are factual things that I'm talking to my little brothers and my little sisters and my brethren. You understand what I'm saying? This is a conversation that I'm having with them. So anybody that's starting to feel uh um, you know, offended, I ask that you please go away. This is not a conversation for you. Now, when they, when I was in school, I would say, like elementary school, I mean, they were just quiet people that sat in the back of the class. Pretty much at that time, they were instructed not to talk to us. Okay, they were told to stay away from us. Don't hang with them. Don't mess with them. But see, there was some of those immigrant kids that could not resist the culture, the FBA culture. You know what I'm saying? They couldn't resist that swag. They couldn't resist the vernacular. They understood that this was the key to to be social in our neighborhoods. How we spoke, how we talked, the slang that we used. Have you ever noticed when your child can leave the house and go into the community and come back talking like somebody else? They didn't hear that word in your house. They heard that in the neighborhood when they go to school. The same way you talk about a school of fish, that's how children are. Children are like a school of fish from elementary school to middle school, all the way up to high school. And in some cases, if they go to community college, they'll still see each other. That's like the 13th grade. After they graduate high school, they'll go to PG community college, and then that'll be like the next level, and they still play like they were in 12th grade, but now you're with all the other kids in the county. So I say that to say that they were integrated with us. Okay. And in many cases, um, there may have been some kids that, they came to school look afflicted. There was some of us that looked afflicted. We weren't rich. We had to learn too. You have to remember during the time, especially in DC, and I'm assuming that other major cities were like this too. Where we had a drug culture that came through, so you had drug boys, and so they dressed a certain way. They kind of kept that dress style that we had, like kept it in check. And remember, back then we didn't have MTV. We didn't have so every particular area kept their styles. Okay. That's just like you could go to New York and they were dressing different than we were dressing in the DC area. I think we dressed it better. More style came to them because they had like Gucci and all those different shops that were up there, but we had Georgetown. Okay, but I'm not gonna go on to that. But the whole point that I'm saying, so there were a lot of styles that kids try to keep up with. The New Balance, the Guess jeans, you know what I'm saying? The 8 ball jackets. And it's a lot of the shit that came with that was just particular to the Washington, DC area. And so what you had people that were trying to keep a style. So when they went to school, and we like to think we had the finest females at our school, the way they dressed, the way they smelled, what I'm saying, everything. So there was a real high competition to look good, to smell good, to have your shoes looking clean, those type of things. So there was a hierarchy on that. A lot of black kids couldn't afford that either, but they still try to keep what they had and keep it together. So now you had an immigrant class that comes in, and as far as style, they're at the bottom of that totem pole. They coming around, hey, they just whatever the hell they got, because that's just how it was, and they were thrown in with us. And so yes, they got clown. We got clown. Everybody got clown. It was a hazing. Sometimes school was like comedy hour. Do you understand what I'm saying? In the FBA, I mean, it was like school all day long was comedy hour. And it wasn't just the immigrants. So when you hear that, you always hear that negative, conversation, like, oh, they were picked on, and in many cases, they were protected. Listen to what I'm saying. In many cases, they were protected because the guys from the neighborhood would pretty much say, man, leave them alone. They don't know better. And that's what went down. Now, here is where, you can't You can't break certain rules. Like, guess what? You're not going to get smart and start talking about somebody because now when you get smart with the mouth and you start you start getting in these little back and forth conversations and you want to be bravo and all this, people are going to talk about your shoes. People are going to say, hey, shut your ass up, shut your African ass up. You know what I'm saying? I mean, but it wasn't meant to demean all of Africa and every African you've ever seen or met in your life. No, that was that time. So moving up to now. So now I want you to take in consideration it's a whole different style now. Okay. So in the 90s, I turned 18. Okay. I joined the military. I actually go to Africa. Okay. And when I went to Africa, a lot of white guys was like, I'm not getting off the ship. I'm not, I'm not getting off the ship. They didn't want to get off the ship until they got there and they saw how beautiful, a lot of these African women were, or at least where we were. And so now the point that I'm trying to make is I would ask them, you know, who they thought I was. And they told me I came from the white guy. Now I want you to think back then. Back then, they were begging for money, MREs, whatever they can get from American soldiers. Okay, they was doing whatever. Well, I was a Marine, but you understand what I'm saying. I mean, they was trying to get whatever they can get, whatever they could get. Send them $2 a month, send them $1 a month, jumbo and shit. You know what I'm saying? I mean, every day was a goddamn party because there were American men there. All right, now let's bring it back here. Now I get out of the military and I get into the workforce. And now when I get in the workforce, I see these people again. And this time, because you have to remember, now we're being monetized by white companies, white organizations. Okay. I'm working in, Fortune 500 companies that I'm working for. I'm working in the IT field. And, I'm working, government contracts and things like this. And I'm starting to see all these groups just move in. And it's just like now they're the contractors who are providing the contracts, the government contract. You understand what I'm saying? They moved into the government complex, and I'm not gonna go too far into that. But what I really, really, really wanted to talk about is how the young people socialize in school. And so this brings me to my next scene here. And like I said, I apologize because I know I'll get to talking, I'll be all over everything. Okay, so we're gonna go here to scene three. This is what I really uh you know wanted to talk about here. This young guy right here, I believe his name is I want to confirm Solomon Henderson. Yes, Solomon Henderson. Yesterday, January 22nd, approximately 11:09, he shot two people. And I want you to understand this is where they are now. Like a kid like this, when I'm looking at Solomon Henderson, he grew up where the school that he is. He's an East African. He grew up around white people. Okay. He grew up around white people. And what he tried to do, he tried to simulate with them. See, they're not receptive of them as we are of them. When they get into our circles, we try to integrate them because they're there and we understand the struggle. Black people understand struggles, and anybody that's going through a struggle, we sympathize with. Do you understand what I'm saying? If we understand that your struggle is honorary and valid, we will sympathize with you because that's how black people get fucked over and over. Because we always concerned about the underdogs because we've been kicked like dogs and we've been the underdog. Okay, so back to the story. So this particular gentleman here went to these schools, dealt with these people, and he was not accepted. What he saw as acceptance was if he was able to say, I hate them niggas, I hate them, the Jujus, I will be accepted by these people here. Do you understand the psychology of this? He delineated himself and said, I am not uh, uh black. I am East African. See, and so he had to delineate himself because the people that were going to his school looked down on black people. You see what I'm saying? So he delineated himself from black people so he can be something separate and something other. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. He wanted to be something separate, something other, and then he tried to simulate, and he felt the only way he could simulate is to adopt this ideology. That's why, i.e., he likes Candace Owens. That's why he likes, I think the Nick Fuentes. That's why he likes them, because they talk that two-way back and forth shit, especially with Candace Owens. Okay, 1 minute she'll be saying something that makes sense, and then almost like a Charleston White. 1 minute they'll be saying something that sounds like it makes sense, and then they'll sail completely out because they're like shock jocks. Okay, and what they don't realize is that this is what you're doing to people out here. You're fucking with their brains, man. When you keep trying to make exceptions for tyranny, unruliness, you keep making exceptions for it until you go crazy like this. This is why they go crazy, because they make exceptions until mentally they can't take it no more. And when you look at FBA, we see the tricks from the beginning. Man, you could walk into an office, a work office, and you work there the whole just one day, and you can see what's going on in that jump, because you're not accepting the bullshit that the dominant society is projecting upon us. We're not accepting that. And because we don't accept it, this is why we stay sane. Because we're not going to go crazy thinking that there's a world out here that loves us. And we're looking and seeing what they're doing. We're listening to what they're saying. And we're comprehending what's going before us, when there are others that choose not to, just for the sake of white supremacy. And then look at this mess over here, right? I know y'all probably looking at this shit. Look at this guy right here. This is the type of shit you deal with right here. Dunmer spells word straight for white women, gay for niggers. Niggers. He says niggers. Happily will fuck a nigger's ass while inseminating women. So he wants to fuck a black man ass while he fucking it. And then what? Turn all niggas gay. Make them in their bloodline. That's what I'm saying, man. These people are sick, bro. Sick. All of them. And this who they play to. Right? See these people right here? This is who they play to. Whatever he's talking about right here, they want to try to be parallel to them. And then this guy right here, he comes on the scene because he's told there's no racism. He's told that everybody is trying to get along with him, and that he's told that black people are racist. You see what I'm saying? And what does he try to do? He tries to get along with them. They turn him out. They talk to him, but then tell him, like, nigga, you ain't fuck out of here. And then he becomes this. He becomes stormtrooper right here, right? Not for his people. Think about it. Not for his lineage, but for them. And then meanwhile, let me see. Can I find it? Did I fail to find it? I found it. I didn't find it. I apologize. Oh, here you go. Is it? Yeah, this too. This is going on over there. Look. Meanwhile, this is going on. Because I don't want to get hit on that. Meanwhile, that's going on. And so I say this to say that, brothers and sisters, let me explain something to you. When you out here in the workplace and you out here dealing with suspected white supremacists and you dealing with tethers, watch out. I'm telling you, watch out. Because they'll be sitting there with you one-on-one. You'll be talking to a tether. And one-on-one, man, he'll be jiving with you. He'll be talking about all the racist shit. Yeah, and I don't like when they do this and when they do that, all that good shit, right? And then guess what? Yeah, and I'm telling you from experience. And guess what? You could have a conversation with him thinking that he is, down for the cause or whatever. He'll go right back and tell the boss or straight up. So thinking, it doesn't work for him, but thinking that he's going to be elevated for his treachery backstabbing. Do you understand what I'm saying? So this is really to show you, how they fall apart. Their efforts are not successful. It's like a comedy show. It's like they'll keep trying it, and you see it, because FBA has a certain third eye, man. Because we've seen all types of tricks and shit. We done seen all types of game in the street. We done seen it growing up, especially if you had siblings and shit. You seen it all. And then when you see these motherfuckers who can barely speak the motherfucking language, and they try to play you, it's like, you like, man, whatever, bro. And they're mad. And they get mad because it's like, white supremacists still don't like you. They don't use you for whatever it is that they need. And you are like a lapdog, happy to sit in their laps and happy to be wanted, happy to be pet, happy to feel a sense of worthiness, to be in the presence of your oppressor. Right? You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna leave it at that. Please hit the like, please subscribe. Please also hit the bell so that you get all these videos that I put out. To my brothers and my sisters, I hope you having a good day, bro. And don't let these tethers phase you, player. And then when anybody suspected white supremacists talking to you about, what you ain't got and what you are, just remember, they are not the standard to be measured by. They are criminals. This is Black Views, bringing you the Black News.